I refused to apologize for calling the city about my neighbor's illegal fire pit. That night, my backyard was set ablaze and my daughter's treehouse burned to the ground. I screamed. She was inside 5 minutes ago. My neighbor stared from her porch and whispered. Ashes settle faster than grudges. But when fire crews pulled something from the rubble, I fell to my knees. I live in Westfield, Indiana. Quiet town, decent schools, lots of families. On paper, it's a peaceful place. But I've learned, peace is fake here. People hide behind smiles, but some carry grudges that could burn down a house. I'm Mark, 42, single dad. My wife Jenna died 5 years ago from breast cancer. Since then, it's just me and my daughter Allie. She's 10 now. Sweet kid, soft voice, real smart. Her mom used to call her Sunshine in Sneakers. After the funeral, I didn't know how to help her. I couldn't fix her pain. So I built her a treehouse in the backyard. Nothing fancy. Just something to give her space. We painted it together. It had a little porch, curtains, even a tiny mailbox. Allie loved it. She'd go up there to read, draw, or just be alone. Sometimes I'd sit underneath it with a beer and cry where she couldn't see me. Now let me tell you about my neighbor Crystal. She moved in 2 years ago. Maybe mid-30s, no husband, just her and a bulldog named Stax. She drove a black Jeep with oversized tires and parked like she owned the street. From day one, she was cold. Wouldn't wave. Wouldn't smile. You could feel the attitude just standing near her yard. Within a few weeks, she started building a fire pit. Not a simple metal ring, this thing was huge. Stone walls, gas line, seats built into the patio. It looked like something out of a magazine. But here's the problem. It was barely 10 feet from my wooden fence. And worse, it faced the side with the treehouse. I walked over one afternoon. I tried to be polite. Hey, I said. I think the fire pit might be too close to the property line. She didn't even turn her head. Just kept digging with a spade. I said again. There's a city code. That kind of setup should be at least. She cut me off. It's my yard. If you've got a problem, call somebody. That's what she said. Cold, clipped, like I was annoying her by existing. So I left her alone. For a while. But the fire pit became a problem fast. She started using it almost every night. I'd hear voices, see the smoke floating over my backyard. It didn't matter if it was Monday or midnight, she had people over all the time. They blasted music, drank, laughed, cursed loud enough that Allie started sleeping with her white noise machine cranked up. Then I noticed the sparks. Tiny red ones lifting into the air, floating into my yard. I saw a beer can once, rolled under the fence. Another time, I found a scorched marshmallow stuck to our garden hose. Still, I let it go. I kept saying, "Don't make enemies." But one night, Allie came inside crying. Said she was trying to draw in the treehouse when smoke blew in so thick she couldn't breathe. That was it. I didn't want a war. I just wanted safety. I took pictures. I documented the smoke. I looked up city codes. The fire pit was 100% against regulation, way too close to my property, and definitely not legal with a gas line that exposed. I filed a report with the city. I made it anonymous. Thought that would keep the peace. I was wrong. 3 days later, there was a knock at my door. Crystal stood there in a black hoodie, sunglasses, and a cup of iced coffee. She smiled like she'd been waiting her whole life to fight. "I heard someone's tattling to the city about my backyard," she said. I didn't lie. "Yeah," I called. "It's illegal." She didn't blink. "You live in the wrong town for that." "What's that supposed to mean? People here talk things out. We don't run to mommy." I said, "I came to you first. Remember?" She tilted her head, like a wolf sniffing weakness. "You're gonna regret this." Then she walked away. The next morning, there was a dead bird nailed to the fence between our yards. Blood still fresh. Its wings were stretched out like someone posed it. I felt my stomach twist. I called the cops. They shrugged. Could have been kids, they said. Could be coincidence. A week later, my mailbox was smashed. The day after, someone slashed one of my tires. I started hearing glass break outside at night, but by the time I looked, nothing was there. Always just enough to rattle me, never enough to catch her. I installed a camera. 2, actually. One facing the street. One facing the backyard. That was the same week the city fined her for the fire pit. I didn't know until I saw her throwing papers in the trash, cursing loud. She stomped into her house and didn't come out for hours. I thought maybe it was over. I was wrong again. The fire happened 2 weeks after the fine. It was late October. Saturday night. Allie had just finished dinner and went out to her treehouse. She brought a flashlight, her sketch pad, and a plastic crown she liked to wear when she drew. She was working on some Halloween art contest for school, spider webs, pumpkins, that kind of thing. I stood at the kitchen sink doing dishes, watching the lights flicker inside the treehouse. She liked the quiet up there. It felt like her own world. Then I smelled it. Not campfire smoke. This was thick. Chemical. Sharp in the throat. I looked up, and my knees went weak. The treehouse was on fire. Flames were eating through the floorboards. Black smoke billowed up fast. I dropped the dish and ran outside barefoot. My heart was pounding so loud I couldn't hear my own voice, but I screamed her name anyway. Allie! Allie! I raced to the ladder, but the bottom rung had already snapped and the wood above was glowing hot. I grabbed the hose and sprayed water blindly, yelling so loud I thought my chest would split. She was inside 5 minutes ago. Then I heard the gate swing open. Allie ran into the yard, face covered in soot, holding her sketchpad. Her voice was shaking. I forgot my markers. I went to get them. I dropped the hose and grabbed her. I didn't even realize I was crying until she started sobbing too. She was safe. Barely. The fire trucks showed up 10 minutes later. They soaked the whole backyard. By then, the treehouse was gone. Just ash, black beams, and melted plastic. That's when the fire chief called me over. He held something in his gloved hand. It was Allie's plastic crown. Half melted, burned at the edges. I dropped to my knees. Across the yard, Crystal stood on her porch in a robe. She lit a cigarette. Smiled. And then she whispered loud enough for me to hear. Ashes settle faster than grudges. That was it. That was the moment I crossed a line in my head. I knew she did this. I didn't care what it took, I was going to destroy her. I handed Allie to our neighbor across the street, an older woman named Diane, and told her to keep Allie inside. I told the police everything. The fire, the threats, the bird, the damages, the video cameras. I pulled up the footage from the backyard cam. But the footage skipped. 2 hours were gone, glitched out. The cam had been tampered with. The cop said, "No clear proof she did it." I said, "She threatened me." He shrugged. "Still need evidence. If we find something, we'll call." They didn't call. I didn't sleep that night. Allie curled up in my bed, still coughing. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw flames. I saw her crown in the ash. I saw Crystal smiling through the smoke. The next morning, I started digging. I filed public record requests. Looked up every fine, permit, or dispute she'd ever had with the city. Found out she had a history, complaints from her last neighborhood in Noblesville. Fires, noise violations, one restraining order from an ex who said she vandalized his car. I printed everything. Built a binder. I went to neighbors. Some were scared. Some were angry. One guy down the block said she once let her dog loose on his kid's bike just because it rolled onto her grass. I got signatures. Started a petition. We called it the Block for Safety. Then I got quiet. I stopped yelling. I stopped showing anger. I made sure she saw me watering the backyard, cleaning up the burnt remains of the treehouse. I waved. I smiled. I said good morning. She didn't trust it. She started watching me back. That's when I made the real move. I talked to an old friend from high school, now a private investigator in Indianapolis. I told him everything. Gave him the binder. Paid him $800 from my savings. Told him I needed something solid. Anything. 3 weeks later, he called me. "You're not gonna believe what I found," he said. And I didn't. Because what he told me changed everything. Crystal wasn't even Crystal. Her real name was Melissa Dawn Kendrick. My buddy, the private investigator, ran her plates, her tax records, and old addresses. The woman living next door had legally changed her name 5 years ago after being involved in a civil case in Ohio, Akron, to be exact. Her ex-boyfriend filed for a restraining order and accused her of arson. His garage had caught fire 2 days after they split. The case was dropped due to insufficient evidence, but insurance flagged it as suspicious. She'd left the state not long after that. Her next place? Lebanon, Indiana. Another fire. That one burned half a shed behind her rental home. Same story. Neighbors complained about her, said she had rage issues, screamed in the yard, and even once threatened a neighbor's cat. She changed her name a year later and bought the house next to mine in Westfield. Started fresh as Crystal Monroe. Brand new identity. No record on paper tying her to her past, unless you knew where to look. I suddenly understood everything. The control. The grudge. The fire. She didn't just hate being challenged, she erased anyone who did. I couldn't go to the cops with that alone. They'd say, "That's the past. She's not convicted of anything." And they'd be right. But it wasn't nothing. I had to be smarter. So I started playing the long game. First, I made copies of everything. Her real name. The fire reports. The restraining order. I mailed one set to my lawyer. Another to Diane, the woman across the street. I uploaded scans to 3 cloud accounts. If something happened to me, if my brakes failed or my house caught fire again, it would all come out. Then I waited. I fixed the fence. Repainted the back wall. Bought Allie a tent and told her it was for fun backyard camping, so she didn't feel the loss of her treehouse so sharply. But inside, I was planning every step of what I'd do next. 2 months passed. Crystal laid low. Her music stopped. No more parties. Just a few quiet glances over the fence. Her bulldog barked more. She seemed tense. I think she was waiting for retaliation. She didn't know I was setting a trap. See, I bought a fake security sign and put it near the garage. But I also installed a new, hidden camera in an outdoor light fixture. One she couldn't see. One with night vision and motion detection, streaming everything straight to the cloud. Then I baited her. I filed a small claim over the fire damage, not criminal, just a civil suit for $2,500. Enough to get under her skin, but not enough to feel like a full-on attack. My lawyer served her the papers. 3 days later, my trash can went missing. No big deal. I figured she took it, but I didn't react. A week later, I found dog poop smeared on my doorknob. Not just placed there, smeared like someone was trying to humiliate me. Again, I said nothing. But my camera caught it. Clear as day, Crystal walking up at 2:14 a.m., wearing gloves, smearing a paper towel full of it on my front door, then flipping off my porch camera. Not knowing the real camera was above her the whole time. I added it to the folder. Then came the break. It was a Sunday. I was at church with Allie. When we got home, I found our backyard gate wide open. Someone had been inside. The grass was trampled. Our toolshed door was hanging open. One of the gas cans I kept in there was gone. I checked the camera. Crystal. She slipped through the gate around 11 a.m., during services, gloves on, hoodie up, carrying something wrapped in a towel. I sent that footage to the fire chief, the police, and my lawyer. All time-stamped. All lined up with the gas can going missing. That night, I sat on the porch with the lights off. Just me, a bat in my lap, waiting. Not for revenge, but for proof. And then something else happened. The gas can? I found it behind my fence the next morning. Empty. Like she planned to do something and changed her mind. But that's not the twist. The twist came 2 days later, when someone knocked on my door, and it wasn't her. It was her brother. He stood there holding a manila folder and looking nothing like her. Slim guy, neat beard, soft voice. Said his name was Mason Kendrick. My sister's sick, he said. I know she did something to you. I didn't say anything at first. Just stared at him. He went on. She told me someone was stalking her. Burning things. Messing with her house. But she always flips it. Always makes herself the victim. How long's she been like this? I asked. Since she was a teenager. Our parents covered for her. Paid off damages. Lawyers. After Akron, I cut her off. I crossed my arms. Why are you here now? He held out the folder. Because she's not gonna stop. She needs help, but she won't take it. I don't want her to hurt anyone else. And you've got a kid. I saw the news about the fire. Inside the folder were photos, old police reports, insurance letters, even a statement from a neighbor back in Ohio who swore she saw Crystal pouring gasoline on her boyfriend's car the night it burned. That was the missing piece. The pattern. The history. I gave it to the cops, the city fire marshal, and the judge handling my civil case. Everything moved fast after that. The city opened a new investigation. My lawyer pushed for a protective order. Police finally took it seriously. They reviewed my camera footage, cross-checked the gas can theft with Crystal's movements, and launched a full arson inquiry. They executed a search warrant within 2 weeks. You know what they found? My daughter's melted plastic crown. It was in her trash can, wrapped in foil, under fast food bags and dog food wrappers. I don't know how it got there. Maybe she picked it up after the fire. Maybe she kept it. Maybe she needed to own a piece of what she did. Didn't matter. It tied her directly to the scene. And with her past, the gas can footage, and the threatening behavior? They arrested her that night. Allie watched from the window as police dragged Crystal out of her house screaming. She was barefoot, screaming about conspiracies, saying I planted evidence. She even tried to bite one of the officers. The news picked it up. Local woman arrested in connection to backyard fire and child endangerment. Neighbors finally spoke up. 5 people submitted written complaints. 3 admitted they'd been too scared to talk before. 1 couple even moved out because of her. In court, Crystal lost it. Her public defender couldn't stop her from ranting about the man next door spying on her. And how the kid in the treehouse faked it. The judge ordered a psych eval. She was ruled unfit to stand trial. Last I heard, she's being held in a secure psychiatric facility near Indianapolis. But that's not where the story ends. See, I could have stopped there. But I didn't. After she was gone, her house sat empty. Foreclosure notices showed up. Her brother refused to take responsibility. It got auctioned off 6 months later. And I bought it. Every inch of it. The day I got the keys, I took Allie by the hand and walked her through every room. We stood in the backyard, staring at the burnt patch where the treehouse had stood. She looked up at me and asked, "Can we build a new one?" I nodded. "We'll make it better." And we did. But first, I tore her house to pieces. I hired contractors to gut it, rip it down to studs. Every room she'd thrown parties in, every wall she screamed through, every floorboard she'd stomped on while terrorizing the neighborhood, I had it all ripped out. And then? I turned it into something else. I donated the land to the city under one condition, that they build a public safety space on it. A community fire safety education center. complete with treehouse simulations, smoke drills, and kids' workshops. They agreed. I stood in front of the ribbon with Allie 6 months later, scissors in my hand, as the sign went up, the Allison Hope Fire Safety Learning Center. Built where fear once lived. The mayor shook my hand. That night, we lit a single, legal campfire in our own backyard. No music. No shouting. Just me, Allie, and Diane from across the street, eating s'mores under the stars. I stared at the glowing embers. Ashes do settle fast. But some grudges? They rebuild stronger. And this time, it was mine. Justice wasn't loud. It wasn't a punch. It was a treehouse rebuilt, and a nightmare buried beneath the playground. Allie was safe. Our home was ours again. And Crystal? She'll never walk our street again.